Hey, what's going on, my cringy crew? Welcome back to Nerd HQ, and welcome to another movie review video. So, this would be my probably more like my third or fourth time trying to record this video for you guys. It's just been really hard to really just dumb it down to just less than an hour long talk for this review video for Spider-Man No Way Home, but we're going to attempt. So, be sure, guys, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys are subscribed with bell notifications on. That way you're staying completely up to date with everything that comes out here at Nerd HQ. And that way you'll be an official member of the Cringy Crew.
Do it! Just do it!
Also, guys, don't forget to leave a like if you guys enjoy my videos. And with that said and out of the way, let's go ahead and swing on into this. Yeah, guys, we've kind of been putting this one off a little bit too longer than what we should. It's just, there's just so much to talk about and to fit in one video.
There's so much to tell.
Yeah, there's so much to tell.
With everything that's happened in this movie, I know most of you guys have been waiting for a review from the channel for a while now, since the movie has been out for like almost a month. But is it really? No, it's been out for at least a couple weeks. But yeah, guys, it's just been like really crazy. Been real busy job wise and home wise. I already have made like a couple videos over this, but in the middle of editing, there was just a lot going on. So I'm just making a completely new video to start out fresh, so that way I could go ahead and get this one started and out of the way for you guys, so that way I could get started on making more videos for you guys, because I still gotta do an unboxing video for you guys, a couple of them, or we'll just make it into one video. Yeah, so Spider-Man No Way Home, it is a freaking roller coaster ride of emotions. Like, so you are basically going into this movie with high expectations, and you'll leave this movie with your high expectations exceeded. Everything that you wanted in this movie, or wanted from this movie, or wanted out of this movie, you're going to get, and more. Like, it's such a damn good movie. Like, my child's losing her mind right now. This isn't cool.
Look at little Goblin Jr. Gonna cry?
Anyways. Okay, so, basically the movie picks up right exactly where Far From Home left off. And Spider-Man, as you would imagine, is on the run. His secret identity is out. Like, everyone knows who he is. Just like on the edge of your seat from the very beginning. It pulls you straight in. You have no idea what's going to happen in this movie. Like, because with the way they commercialized this movie, they didn't really give you too much of what the movie is actually going to be about, besides like the multiverse was going to be involved. And then there's, of course, Hollywood's worst kept secret of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, which, let me just go ahead and get this out of the way, they are in the movie. Once you watch this movie, everyone's on their feet and clapping. It's such a good movie. Not only is Andrew and Tobey in the movie, but you also got Charlie Cox, which turns out to be his lawyer. So within the very first 30 minutes movie, he shows up as Peter's lawyer and gets him out of trouble. While at the same time, Happy ends up getting into legal trouble right after, because he still owns like some of Stark's technology or whatever that he's not supposed to have. So that plays a part later on in the movie. Peter begins to realize that even after he's out of the legal trouble, A lot of his friends and family are still having to deal with the repercussions of even knowing Spider-Man or knowing Peter, to the point where MJ and Ned, along with Peter, can't get into the college that they want to go to, the MIT, and it's ruining their lives. I wouldn't say just because you can't get into the best college it ruins your life, but to them it's ruining their life because they know Peter Parker, and Peter sees how that's very unfair. So he goes to Doctor Strange for help. At first he mentions to Strange about changing or reversing time with a time stone, but then Strange explains to Peter that the time stone no longer exists, so there's no way to do a time like reverse time spell or whatever. So but Strange thinks of a spell, a memory wipe spell. So they try to go ahead and go along with that, and of course, just like in the trailer, Peter messes it up by trying to, in the middle of the spell, trying to add stuff in to Strange's spell by making sure that MJ still remembers Spider-Man's Peter Parker, Ned, MJ, Aunt May, Happy, and eventually, like, Strange just loses focus and that he botches the spell. And in a fit of anger, Strange just tells Peter, like, did you even talk to the people at MIT to try and talk your way in, or to talk your way into being into the college? And Peter's like, oh, well, I didn't really think about that. And Strange gets pissed off and is like, oh, okay, well, get the hell out because you wasted my time. So Peter goes to talk to the person from MIT on their way to the airport. Meets her at the bridge and tries to explain his, Ned's, and MJ's case about going to MIT. And in the midst of all that going on, Doc Ock shows up, and it's just a shit show from there.
Hello, Peter.
It's a badass fight scene. One of the many really awesome, cool, badass fight scenes that you'll see throughout the whole movie. And he beats Doc Ock by using his Iron Spider suit to attach to the arms and basically control Doc Ock's arms remote controllably, and shuts him down that way. As soon as that happens, Strange portals both of them out of there. Basically, as soon as Green Goblin shows up, they portal out of there, and at that moment, right before they portal out of there, Doc Ock, or Otto Octavius, recognizes Goblin as Norman Osborn. But then Strange ends up explaining at that moment when they show up at the Sanctum. Strange explains to Peter about like what the hell's going on, and pretty much tells him that he needs to fix the issue, fix the problem with the multiverse, and catch all these people that leaked out into their universe. And so he tells Strange that he's going to need help, so he brings MJ and Ned over, and they start catching bad guys. Well, the first one they go after is Electro, and it's kind of cool because as soon as Electro shows up, or he finds Electro, you hear the Amazing Spider-Man 2 Electro theme with its like dubstep and shit. It's kind of cool.
Shut up!
You're so selfish.
Stay with me, Max!
You set me up.
No, I didn't set you up!
You lied to me.
No, I'm trying to help you. Let me help you!
Like everyone has their own theme music that pops up throughout the movie when they first show up, which is kind of cool. Peter realizes that he can't really beat Electro, and so he gets help from Sandman. Sandman shows up and Sandman's still technically a good guy from whenever he left off after Spider-Man 3, Tobey's Spider-Man. So Sandman helps Tom's Spidey and brings Electro down. And then they both get captured. And they both go back to the Sanctum. And in the middle of this fight, some people, you may all be wondering how Spider-Man gets the black and gold suit. Well, it's literally just the red and black Far From Home suit, just turned inside out. And it's turned inside out because Peter can't get a green stain out of it, because Mysterio fanboy or whatever Mysterio supporters splattered green paint all over his suit, so he can't get it out. So he turns the suit inside out, and that's why you see all like the electrical wiring and stuff kind of sticking out of it, which is kind of cool. But Aunt May ends up getting the green out of it later on in the movie. But after Electro and Sandman are captured, Peter gets a call from the Feast Center, which is Aunt May, and Aunt May's like, okay, well, you gotta know one of your multiverse friends here. It's Norman. Well, after they go to, Peter goes to Feast, freaking out, and finds May, and it's just Norman dressed like a hobo. He's like in a green sweater with a purple hoodie, goblin colors, and he's just Norman, because he smashed the goblin helmet to get Goblin out of his head, but really it's just Goblin's still inside of him, just plotting the whole time. So Peter brings Norman back to the Sanctum, and they all like have this talk, and Otto talks to Norman about like how he's supposed to be dead. They all end up having a conversation together, which is kind of cool. Lizard's there, forgot to mention that, when Peter and Doc Ock got portaled over there to the Sanctum. Doctor Strange looked kind of beat up, like he just got out of the fight with someone, and it was Lizard. So not only was Otto already caged up when they showed up, but Lizard was too. So now, at this point in the movie, everyone's caged up, except for Norman, but you know, that's until Strange sees them and puts them in there. And Strange ends up making this cube that is supposed to send everyone back to their home world. Peter realizes that after like everyone was talking, that everyone dies in their original universe, or in their timeline. Spider-Man ends up killing them. And of course he feels some kind of a guilty way about hearing that, because he's already being framed for murder from Mysterio and all that. So he doesn't want them to die. He thinks of trying to save them, and Strange doesn't really see it that way. He sees it as if they mess with anything within these people's lives, it could ruin the multiverse or what the hell ever. So he wants to send them back, no matter if they die or not. Peter doesn't agree with it, tries to steal the box. There's like this huge, like really cool fight scene that they have, and it happens like in the mirror dimension and all kinds of stuff like that. And at one point, Strange pushes Peter out of his astral form, and Strange tries to take the cube out of Peter's hand, and you see like in Peter's astral form, you see like his spidey sense was just kind of cool. And Strange can't grab the cube because Peter keeps moving, because his spider sense is like kicked into full drive when he's in his astral form, apparently. But Peter ends up beating Strange, basically using simple mathematics, big brain, and he gets back and pretty much tells everyone that if they don't want to die, that they need to listen to him, so that way he can cure them, basically. So they agree. They go back to, they all meet up, villains included, meet up at Happy's place, at his apartment where Peter was hiding out during the whole trial and legal issues and stuff. It's one of the Stark Tech things that Happy still has to help cure them, and he ends up curing Doc Ock and gets Doc Ock in control of his arms again. But then Norman ends up betraying them, gets everyone to turn on Peter, to turn on him and turn bad. Norman's still good though. He's cured. But Electro blasts him out of the building. And so then we get this really cool fight scene between Goblin and Peter, just fighting it out, which it's really cool how it happens.
Strong enough to have it all. Too weak to take it!
They just literally are slamming each other through like floors throughout the apartment complex, the building, and it's nuts. Like, they are literally beating each other to death, and Goblin ends up winning. And in the end of the fight, after Goblin wins, Aunt May tries to save Peter, and the Goblin's glider swoops in, pretty much kills May. So,
Hey, run, please.
there you go. That's the death in the movie, is Aunt May. But right before she dies, after Goblin escapes, Aunt May gives Peter the famous line, with great power must also come great responsibility. So basically, as soon as she said that, you pretty much know she's going to die right after that. That's part of Spider-Man's origin story, which technically it's been Uncle Ben, but I guess they wanted to do it different, which was basically shock value. Like, you wouldn't expect that it is Aunt May that gives Peter the with great power comes great responsibility line, but this is how it happens, which I'm not mad about. I loved how this whole movie played out. A lot of good fan service. There's multiple times throughout the movie where, like, each of the villains and characters reference their past movies and stuff and scenes that have happened.
You know, I'm something of a scientist myself.
You know, I'm something of a scientist myself.
That's very memorable. But after Aunt May dies, Peter's just going through like this big depression of like him thinking that it's all his fault. If he would have just let Strange send them back to their universe to die, then Aunt May would still be alive. But Aunt May was convincing Peter that no matter what the circumstances of the situation, it was his responsibility to try and help fix it. So, but it ended up killing her, and J. Jonah Jameson is just dogging and dragging Spider-Man's name through the dirt, and Peter's, pretty much saying that everything that's happened, like, that has went wrong with the city, is his fault, and that the death of Aunt May is his fault, and it's just a big shit show. But right after that happens, the big moment of truth happens, where like everyone's like, "Where's Toby? Where's Andrew?" And in the middle of the fight between Peter and Strange, Peter steals Strange's sling ring and gives it to Ned. Well, Ned and MJ are back at Ned's grandma's, and they're like talking, and Ned pretty much explains it, or is they're like trying to figure out where they could find Peter because they have no idea where he's at. They see everything that's happened on the news with Aunt May being dead, so they're just like Ned pretty much just like talking with his hands. He's like, I wish we could just find Peter. And you see like a portal start to open. Well, he ends up figuring the sling ring out and uses it to try and find Peter, and it's not their Peter. All of a sudden you see Andrew Garfield come out of the portal, and everyone's like losing their minds. Everyone was so excited. I was excited. I probably cried like 5, 10, 15, 20 times throughout this whole movie, and that was one of them. I was just crying happy tears. And there's like this whole funny scene that they have between all of them where Andrew like just sticks to the ceiling to just try and prove that he's Spider-Man, and I respect it.
Crawl around.
Crawl around?
Yes.
No.
Yes, crawl around.
MJ tells him, to crawl along the wall to prove it just further. And he's like, no, I'm not going to climb on the wall. And she like starts throwing bread at him. It's just it's a funny scene. It's a great scene. And so they end up using the sling ring again to try and find Peter. And then lo and behold, Tobey Maguire pops up. And that's when I basically just lose my mind. Tobey's always been my personal favorite Spider-Man. I hold him closer, and I hold his movies closer to my heart than any other ones. Just because that's the one I grew up watching as a kid. So, Tobey comes out, and there's like this really cool dynamic scene with Tobey and Andrew when they first meet.
Great, it's just some random guy. Hello. Hope it's okay. I just came through this, just closed.
You're Peter.
Yeah, Peter Parker. I've seen you two. Hi. Wait, he's not your friend.
And they eventually end up figuring out like where they need to go, because the Spider-Man tell the kids that when they're in a crisis, they go to a spot in New York to try and a quiet place to think or to get away from it all. Andrew's Spider-Man says that he goes to the Empire State Building, and then Tobey's Peter says that he goes to the Chrysler Building, which is where you've seen him go for the first time when after Ben died. So they end up figuring out that where Tom Holland's Peter went, so they go to him, find him, and then there's like this whole like really cool scene between them all where they all talk about like with great power comes great responsibility. Andrew ends up explaining to him about how he's lost his Gwen and his Ben, and Tobey's Peter explains how he lost his Ben, and that they've both felt vengeful, that Tobey's Peter Parker ended up killing the man that killed Uncle Ben, and it didn't make him feel any better. Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man apparently got very vengeful after Amazing Spider-Man 2 and wasn't holding his punches back anymore. That he got bitter. And so it got pretty dark later on in the Andrew story, apparently. Will we ever find out? Like, on the screen? It's to be determined. Everyone's trying to get the Amazing Spider-Man 3 movie made, by like tweeting about it and petitioning for it, but who knows? We'll see. But yeah, they talk it all out, and then right after that, they end up having like a science bros moment where they all go to a lab and try to come up with like different cures for all the villains to try and fix them. There's a moment in that scene where there's like a ton of callbacks from all the movies within this movie. There's a callback to Harry a couple times in the Science Bro scene. There's a reference, they talk about Tobey Maguire's organic webs.
What's that for? Oh, it's my web fluid. It's for my web shooters. Why? That came out of you.
Yeah. You can't do that, huh?
No. How on earth does that even? Anyway, we're getting sidetracked. This is where we're gonna do this, okay? It's isolated, so no one should get hurt.
And he kind of doesn't really explain that until like later when they have the final battle at the Statue of Liberty. There's a lot of really cool scenes. I think they did the meme where they point at each other. They did it like twice in the movie. They did it once during the Science Bros stuff when Ned was trying to get Peter's attention, and all three of them were like, which one? And there's another one where they're trying to figure out which one's Spider-Man 1, 2, or 3. So that way they can communicate together and they're all pointing at each other. There's just like a lot of cool scenes throughout this movie, and it ends on a really high note with all of them fighting with each other, for fighting together against the villains. Long story short, Andrew ends up catching MJ from that scene in the trailer. He actually ends up catching her, redeems himself. It's a really touching moment. And then there's a fight, one last fight scene between like Electro and then Andrew. They fight, and that doesn't really go so well. Electro basically is kicking all their ass at one point, and Doc Ock shows up and basically saves the day, saves the Spider-Man, and defeats Electro. And then there's a really, really cool scene that I teared up probably the most at, is when Doc Ock and Tobey Maguire's Peter was talking to each other.
Now I remember you. You're a Connors student. Tells me you're brilliant. He also tells me you're lazy.
Trying to do better.
Oh, being brilliant's not enough, young man.
The palm of your hand. Peter. Otto.
Well, it's good to see you, dear boy.
It's good to see you.
You're all grown up. How are you?
Trying to do better.
After that, there's a fight scene, the last fight scene between Tom Holland's Peter and William Dafoe's Green Goblin. And William Dafoe's Green Goblin he steals the show every time he's on the screen. William Dafoe really gave it his all throughout this whole movie. Everyone basically did. I enjoyed everyone that was in this movie. Even Tom Holland. Tom Holland he's right up there with he's not a fantastic actor, but he's getting better. And I'm warming up to him more as Spider-Man. But the fight scene, like the hand-to-hand, like just beating the shit out of each other fight scene at the very end, Tom Holland ends up kicking William Dafoe's ass and goes to kill him. But then Tobey Maguire ends up stopping, like jumping in between them, and he stops Tom Holland from basically killing Goblin with his own glider. So Goblin almost bit it again the same way.
Well, you can't do this to me.
By using the blades on the glider. But Toby jumps in front of it, stops Tom Tom Holland's Peter, stops him from killing Goblin, and then after like that really cool moment where he stops him, Goblin ends up stabbing Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker, and you think he's going to die, but then, you know, he just kind of shakes it off like, you know, it's not the first time I've been stabbed, so that was a relief, because that was the one thing I got spoiled on before I watched the movies. I was scrolling through TikTok, and the scene where Tobey Maguire got stabbed was the only thing I saw, and I was freaking out throughout this whole movie. So Toby being in the movie was kind of spoiled for me, but it was just, I was more worried if he was going to die. But Goblin ends up getting cured. Everyone ends up getting cured, and Doctor Strange does show up in the middle of the fight and everything, and is trying to like hold everything together, because Goblin ended up destroying the cube with the pumpkin bomb at the Statue of Liberty, and Doctor Strange is basically on top of the Statue of Liberty trying to seal up the cracks of the multiverse to try and fix everything, and he can't hold it forever. So what he basically does is Tom Holland comes up with the idea of, hey, just can we just do the spell over again? And he's like, well, it's a little bit too late for that. And then Tom's like, well, what if everyone just forgets who I am?
What?
Yeah.
Let's just do it the way it should have been done in the first place. And so Doctor Strange is like, okay, yeah, just start saying goodbye to everyone. And there's like this really cool scene that I teared up on again, is when all three Spider-Man hugged it out, which was really cool. And Peter, Tom Holland's Peter says bye to MJ and Ned, and pretty much swings off, and then the spell happens and everyone forgets Peter is Spider-Man. Technically, everyone forgets Peter Parker, and just in general. Like Happy didn't even recognize Peter at Aunt May's grave at the end of the movie. But just to top it all off, after everyone was set back to their universes and everything, you just at that point you don't think it could get any better. But right at the very end, Peter goes to find MJ at a coffee shop, and he finds her and Ned just still being buddies. But they're talking about MIT. Apparently they got into MIT and their lives are going really good. They're all happy. And somehow MJ is still wearing the Black Dahlia necklace. So I guess he somehow somewhat still remembers Peter. Don't know. Maybe they'll explain it later. But Peter thinks about telling or trying to get MJ to remember, but he kind of just like lets them live their lives. I guess because his life is too dangerous for them, so he just kind of lets them live their lives. And he goes to his apartment that he has. He finds a new apartment. It's run down. It gives me Spider-Man 2 vibes of the Tobey Maguire's apartment. How shitty it was, but he has his own apartment. He's completely on his own now. No Avengers, no Aunt May, no MJ, no Ned. It's just him, and he ends up making his own suit. Classic red and blue. The material on it looks really cool and nice. It's very bright, and it's like a really bright, vibrant blue and red. Looks really good. And most people don't think about it this way, but like they don't think like, why would he make a new suit? But he had to make a new suit because not only has people forgot who Peter is or doesn't recognize him, but his suits, his Stark Tech suits, don't recognize Peter Parker in them, so they don't work for him. So he had to legit like make his own suit, and it looks fantastic. Here it is. But yeah, guys, if I had to give this movie a score, I'd probably have to give it a 9.5 out of 10. It is one of my favorite Spider-Man movies ever made, right along with Spider-Man 2 and Into the Spider-Verse, which Across the Spider-Verse will be coming out later this year. Also, guys, I hope you had a great Christmas and a wonderful New Year. I wanted to get this video out before Christmas, but it got really crazy during Christmas, and even a little bit before that. It just work has been nuts since the movie's been out. It's been super busy, so I'm just glad I could try and get this one going. But yeah, guys, love this movie. It's probably one of my favorite movies, period. One of the best ones in the MCU. Probably is, right, it's like Endgame, like Endgame, No Way Home, Infinity War, Ragnarok, like, it's right up there with them. But yeah, guys, if you agree with my rating, be sure to let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like, and if you are new to the channel, make sure you are subscribed with bell notifications on. That way you're staying completely up to date with anything that comes out here at Nerd HQ.
Do it! Just do it!
But, oh, yeah, I guess I'll show you guys these. We were giving these out to people that was watching the movie No Way Home the other day, and I ended up picking me up a few. So, Spider-Man No Way Home posters. They're not like big movie, it's not like big movie theater posters like the one I will be getting, the movie theater poster for Spider-Man No Way Home. But I thought these were like really cool. They're just like giving these out to people. And as you can see, I grabbed me a few, so.
I'm gonna put some dirt in your eye.
And on top of that, got me a Venom Let There Be Carnage poster, so I'll hopefully have that up somewhere in Nerd HQ eventually. But I hope you guys enjoyed. I will be doing a unboxing video, so that'll be the next thing that I'll work on after I get done with this video. So I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, YouTube.
See you, chump.